This is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I...
And welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and we have 3 exciting new additions to the game. These are all Hoth characters that are being introduced for the dark side, which is pretty cool. They're also going to probably be introduced specifically because dark side territory battles is becoming a thing, as well as territory wars, which we know are coming out very soon. So I'm going to go ahead and go through all 3 of these characters. I'll try to be as fast as possible. Of course, you're going to get some analysis with it. I'm going to start with the one that I like the least, and then I'm going to go to the one I like the most at the end. So you're going to get 3 of them. I'm pretty excited to showcase all 3 of them, and there's going to be a little bit of footage intermingled while we talk about these abilities. So the very first one is going to be Colonel Starck. Now, Colonel Starck had a very short period of time on the Battle of Hoth. Luke made sure of that when he blew up his AT-AT, the Blizzard 4. So he has 3 abilities, a basic, 2 specials, and then of course he'll have a unique, but 3 abilities that are playable. We're going to go right through. The first one is called, his basic is called Debilitating Shot. It's going to deal physical damage to a target enemy and inflict defense down for 2 turns. That's okay. It says if the target was already debuffed, it's going to deal double damage. So, you know, all right, not too bad. You'll notice in some of the footage that the damage can get up there on his basic, up to 20k. So, you know, when you get him maxed out, the basic's going to be all right, 10k, maybe 20k, but nothing to write home about. His first special is called Scan All Wavelengths, and its final text, there's no GIF on it, but the final text says, Empire allies are going to gain critical chance up and critical damage up for 3 turns. Also, Starck gains 5% turn meter for every Empire ally and every Rebel enemy. So best case scenario, you're running him with Rebels, or you're running him against Rebels and running him with Empire, and you're looking at maybe 50% turn meter on this. So he's going to give critical chance up, critical damage up for 3 turns, and then get 50% turn meter. So it's not a completely wasted turn when he buffs his team. Again, good. Not super impressed. The second special is the Blizzard 4 Barrage, and you can see it right on the screen. I'm going to have other footage playing as well, and it will deal physical damage to all enemies. So this is an AoE, or an area of effect, and it's going to have a 50% chance to stagger them for, it looks like 1 turn. It doesn't say. It just says the ability to stagger them, and then it will dispel all buffs on the primary target. So it's the ability to dispel buffs. That's kind of cool, with an AoE, 50% chance to stagger, and a debuff all broke down into 1. Pretty cool ability, and it's named after his AT-AT, the Blizzard 4. So pretty cool that they kind of worked that in with the AT-AT attack from the background. Also, it says for each active Imperial Trooper ally, you're going to deal 10% more damage and reduce the cooldown of this ability by 1. So it has a cooldown of 8, and then for every ally you have on there, ally meaning the other 4 potentially, could drop it down, including himself, could go from 8 down to 3 if you were using 5 Imperial Trooper allies. So pretty good. You can get it down to about 3 running the right team, which means he can use it quite often. His unique is called Imperial Intelligence. It's at the end of his turn, he recovers 7% health and 3% protection. Now pause. That is really good because that means that he's designed specifically for the long term, PvE, player versus environment. Maybe not necessarily usable in player versus player, remains to be seen. He's not even in the game yet, but he's definitely built to be the long haul with going into, you know, long-term battles with that regeneration of health and protection. Also, he'll remove 1% turn meter from all enemies for each active Empire ally, doubled for trooper allies. So if he's got them, that's up to 10% turn meter reduction on all enemies. So an AoE turn meter reduction on his unique each time at the end of his turn. Not bad, not amazing, but not bad. Also, when he's active, Imperial troopers are going to have plus 50% armor penetration. That's actually very good. Now, it remains to be seen whether you should run him with obviously General Veer's leadership, which sounds like it probably would make the most sense, or the #1 Empire leader in the game, and that's Thrawn. I know a lot of the footage has Thrawn inside as the lead, but know that General Veer's lead would probably be even better suited, especially for the PvE, or player versus environment. What's really cool about this character is immediately as soon as he's released, he will be completely and utterly free to play, which means everybody can go to the Cantina node and farm him. It's going to use, my guess is, 16 energy per refresh on that node. So, but completely and utterly free to play. Pretty cool. He looks a lot, of course, like General Veer's. He has an okay kit. I think he's a decent, solid, free to play addition, especially because it's one more Empire, it's one more Imperial trooper into the game. So for those reasons, I give him an okay. Now let's move to the #2 character coming into the game. Bam! Yeah! Pretty exciting. We've had to face these guys, we've had to fight these guys, but the version we're gonna get is going to be even better than what we've gone against. I'm pretty excited about this character for the dark side. He's an Empire droid, of course, because this is the Empire version of the Imperial probe droid, and also he's a droid, so he'll be usable in many different ways. Of course, an all droid team would be pretty awesome. He's got some all droid synergy. We're going to talk about that. And also, he's got synergy with the Empire. So much like in light side territory battles, there's special nodes that can earn you special shards, kind of like Rolo, the character Rolo. You can earn special shards and unlock that character. This guy's going to be exactly like that in the dark side territory battles. He's going to be on one of the territory battle nodes, an unlockable character. You'll be able to get up to 50 shards each time that you do that. It will depend on you being able to fight that particular node to unlock him. So interesting, he'll be available relatively quickly as soon as dark side territory battles drops, and he will be farmable through, again, that one node. So his basic is called Precision Blasters, and basically it just deals physical damage and has an 80% chance to expose the enemy. Expose is a very good debuff, so that's excellent. It's coming in. Would be really cool if it was 100% expose, or just a non-evaded or something like that, but we'll take what we can get. 80% is pretty good. His first special that he's going to have, and he has a couple specials, is going to be his kind of his bread and butter. This one's good. It's going to dispel all buffs on the enemies with a 75% chance to inflict target lock. So you're not going to get target lock on everybody, but you're going to debuff the whole team. Once you debuff the whole team, you're also going to put target lock on 75% of the time on them. And once they have target lock, they can't gain any more buffs, and they will lose a superficial 5% turn meter when the target lock is applied. So the turn meter reduction is not significant, but any turn meter reduction is good turn meter reduction. And of course, the target lock is awesome because it's a brand new buff that combines 2 buffs into one. He's kind of like the brand new B2 battle droid, but almost better, because he does that buff immunity, but it's going to be in the target lock form. Now, the second special is locked with a 1 cooldown and can't be used until he's under 100% health, and then automatically will count down to 1, and you can use it after that anytime you want. But it has a locked 1 turn cooldown, and it can't even be used early on. It's only available once he's under 100% health. Kind of an interesting ability with that whole cooldown thing. He's going to be able to instantly defeat himself, so he's going to blow up, which is really cool, obviously self-destruct, and he can't be revived, so he's not going to be able to be brought back to life. He will deal massive damage to a target enemy. Now, massive damage means 100,000 damage, 99,000 999. It's like 100,000 damage, kind of like Nihilus does to the tank when Nihilus hits the tank. So 100,000 in damage. That's amazing. That's basically pretty much an insta-kill. So he dies and someone else dies. This also will deal physical damage to other enemies, which will equate to approximately 10,000 damage. That's not bad either. So it's an AoE, hits everybody for about 10k, except for the main target. Gonna hit that main target for 100k. The damage I said that it does to everybody else is going to be 30% of their health pool. So I said it'll average about 10k, but it could be way less or way more based off the individual's health pool. If someone's got 20,000 health, it's only going to do about 6k, but if they've got a huge health pool, like, you know, 30,000, it's going to do more like 9k. So it just depends on their health pool. And remember, R2-D2 and Barriss Offee and General Kenobi and all those kinds of combinations, their health pools get really, really high. So this is very targeted towards rebels almost, because of all of the rebels in the game that have really high health pools right now. It also says that it will expose all the target locked characters. So if there was like 3 target locked characters, after he blows up and does his AoE, they'll all be exposed for the next round, which is really cool. That's 2 turns. And then this attack, this explosion, it can't be evaded. So that's really good. It's just going to blast the other individual. Now, the other individual that gets blasted for 100k can be revived. The Imperial probe droid cannot, but the individual that dies can be. So if you're going against a team and blow up a Han Solo and they happen to have a Captain Han Solo or a Jyn Erso, they could always bring back the character that you've blown up. So you want to be careful in choosing who you're going to blow up. Also, when he has full health or has no active allies, he can't activate this ability, and the cooldown is set to 1. He also has a unique called Imperial Logistics. The Imperial probe droid is going to have a plus 50% max health, which is going to let him be a little bit more sustained in battle and last a little bit longer using his abilities to apply target lock and whatnot. Also, at the end of each droid ally turn, so this is the Droid Synergy right here, and at the end of each Empire ally turn, and at the end of each Rebel enemy turn. So going against Rebels, playing with the Empire, or playing with droids, he's going to gain 3% turn meter at the end of all of those individuals' turns. If you're going with about 10 individuals, your team and their team, and they're all droids, empires, or rebels, you're looking at a potential of about 30% turn meter, a gain over that, which is going to speed him up. Not super amazing, especially if there's all these weird team compositions where there's 2 rebels and 1 empire. You know, it might be 9% turn meter, but it's turn meter nonetheless. And again, all turn meter is good turn meter. It says, while the Imperial probe droid is active, target locked enemies can't gain buffs, and they have negative 25% evasion. So it's like evasion down and buff immunity combined. Really, really cool. Now to my absolute favorite entry into this, and I am really, really, really excited about the Wampa. He is kind of unique like Ugnaught in that he's just dark side, where, you know, Ugnaught doesn't have an affiliation other than light side. This is just dark side. He doesn't have an affiliation, and that's good. If he had any kind of affiliation at all, it would probably go Night Sisters. You know, just because of the fact of the stories with the, you know, the Night Sister Carissa, who went out and kind of took over the Wampas, and Carissa was, you know, taken over by Empire, was chasing her down, and the Rebels were chasing her down. But anyway, Carissa is not in the game, although that would be an awesome Night Sister to bring into the game. But there is no faction tag for him, so that's kind of interesting. He is dark side. He'll work in any team, and you will see he is absolutely devastating. I think his animations are pretty dope, and who doesn't love a character who goes whop on his basic? It's literally called whop on his basic. That's awesome. So you can see his shards are going to be acquired through the newest Territory Wars that is going to be coming out very soon. So there will be lots of people running around with this Wampa on their team very soon. Pretty excited. He's got 5 abilities, a basic and 2 specials, and then of course he's got a couple uniques. His basic ability, whop, is going to deal physical damage to a target enemy and inflict a damage over time, a dot. So immediately I'm thinking Darth Vader lead, because he's applying dots, Darth Vader lead applies dots. There's got to be some synergy with Darth Vader, so I'm pretty excited about that. So let's keep reading. If the target was exposed or staggered, you're going to stun them for 1 turn. So you could also be bringing in characters that are Empire related, like Director Krennic, Death Trooper. With Director Krennic stagger, then when he hits them, they're going to get stunned. So there's some synergy there. Also, if the target was debuffed, and of course the dark side, that is what they do, is do debuffs. So there's a good chance of this. If they're debuffed, he's going to gain an additional 20% turn meter. If the Wampa isn't debuffed, he'll also gain an additional 20% turn meter. So that's 40% turn meter after he does his basic ability, if he's not debuffed and the opponent is. Pretty good. This attack also cannot be evaded, and this attack has plus 100% offense versus rebels. So the rebel meta, Star Wars Galaxy of Rebels, like, this guy is built specifically as a counter to CLS. His first special ability is called Icebreaker, and I love the animation where he slams the ground. That's freaking awesome. It will dispel all debuffs on Wampa, so he's going to clear him up, and it deals physical damage to all enemies, so it's an AoE, area of effect, and does daze for 2 turns. And I'm telling people, daze is one of the best debuffs in the game. It prevents them from countering, getting additional turn meter, all sorts of stuff, bonus turn meter. So daze is definitely the way to go. Also, the Wampa gains protection up. Now, you know, with like other characters that put protection up, like, you know, 25% or 40%, that's a lot of protection up. This is 150% protection up. Crazy. It says it's going to put that protection up until the next time the ability is used. The ability has a cooldown of 5, so he's going to get this and he's going to keep it until he uses the ability again. So basically, he's always going to have protection up. The only time you're not going to see him with protection up is if it's naturally defeated off of him through individuals attacking him. Otherwise, he's just going to have a perpetual state of protection up. So this makes him extremely durable on the defense. It also says this can't be dispelled or prevented. So if he has buff immunity over his head, he still gets to gain protection up because it can't be prevented. And he can't have it dispelled. So if you've got Ezra on your team or someone like that, and you normally are used to taking protection up away from the opponent, or a taunt away from the opponent, well, with him, you can't dispel this protection up. His other special ability, his second one, is called Furious Foe. It really should be called Howling Rage, which they called the first unique ability Howling Rage, but man, they should call it Howling Rage, because for Furious Foe, he's out. You know, it's awesome. Love the animations. He's going to inflict healing immunity on all enemies for 2 turns, which cannot be evaded. So pretty cool. Now, you notice in the video, they can resist it. They just can't evade it. So Wampa will then gain 35% accuracy, 35% critical chance, 35% offense stacking every time he does this ability, and he can do it every 4 turns. He gets another 35% offense. The next 4 turns, another 35% offense. Again, this specific thing is built for PvE because you're going to go round after round after round, and this is going to stack. And this says that stacking is for the rest of the encounter, so that's really good. Also, the Wampa is going to gain 15% turn meter for each defeated ally and each active enemy. So if you happen to have the enemies, that's 75% turn meter for all the active enemies, and if you've got any defeated, it's going to push it up to 100%. But even if nobody's dead, it's still almost a whole nother turn. Plus, with the turn meter gain on his basic of up to 40%, this could almost immediately be another turn and then another 40% turn meter. I mean, the guy's got turn meter for days. Super exciting ability. I think this is really, really good. And of course, this ability starts on cooldown, which means you'll have a cooldown of 4 and you'll have to wait those 4 turns before you use it. You can't use it on turn 1. You're going to have to wait. But really cool ability. And then he also has a couple of uniques. The first unique is while he has that protection up, which is pretty much always unless somebody's whittled it back down, he's going to also have a plus 20% counter chance in addition to his other counter chance, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And he gets plus 50% offense and plus 50% tenacity. The tenacity, meh, take it or leave it. It's okay. It might help with a little bit of the debuffs, preventing him from debuffs, but the additional offense is crazy good, and that plus 20% counter chance is also crazy good because he has a second unique ability called Cornered Beast, and the Wampa just has a 50% counter chance. So while protection is up, it goes from 50% counter to 70% counter chance, and then the Wampa will also gain plus 10% counter chance, 5% health steal, and 5% offense every time a damage effect for every enemy that has a damage over time. So any enemy that has a dot. Now he inflicts dots over individuals, but so does Darth Vader. So if Darth Vader did his AoE and put dots over everybody, that would be 5 enemies that would have it. That would be an additional 50% counter chance, giving him 100% counter. It would also be 25% health steal. That's a quarter of his health being revived every time he hits on every single counter. And plus 5% with the 5 potential damage over time enemies, it would be 25% offense for each damage over time effect on each enemy. Each DOT on each enemy. Think about it. You get 3 and 4 on each character. It's insane offense boosts. You got to see some of this video. It's absolutely crazy how he tears it up. So what are your thoughts about the 3 characters? I'm really excited. I cannot wait for you guys to check out these characters and get a chance to play them. Remember, one's going to be instantly in Cantina, free to play farmable. That's going to be Colonel Starck. And then you're going to have the Imperial Probe Droid, which you'll be able to unlock on a specific node of the Dark Side territory battles, kind of like Rolo. And then, of course, you'll have the Wampa, which you'll be able to get even sooner in Territory Wars. Very exciting. Leave your thoughts about these characters in the comments down below and let the theory crafting commence. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior, out.